What is up? Welcome to the Crusaders Podcast. We finally got there. We've had a bit of a technical issue this evening. I'm SENPIEMAN, joined this week by InvisibleDizz.
Hi.
LancelotArcher.
What's up?
And Techsnologic.
Hello.
What are this week's hot topics?
Before we get on with that, I just hope it's still not picking up Tech's mic, just for kicks. For anyone listening to the audio, we've had about 35 minutes of problems where it's not picking up anyone's mic, or Tech's mic, or Senpai's mic, and I think we're okay now.
Hopefully.
We're good.
Hopefully.
We're
I think we're okay.
I'm definitely going to ask you what the fix was, Senpai, and I will get that sorted like after everything has been done tonight. So just to make sure that it's ready for me next week.
Yay.
Or in 2 weeks.
No worries.
We're working.
Or Dizzing next week, whichever one.
Yeah.
No. Not me. Not me. But right, you said hot topic. Do you not mean the great news about the PS5 conference that happened last night?
The what?
Okay, also, just for the audio-only listeners, we're recording this on June the 12th, but the episode will actually go live on June the 18th, which is a week after the PS5 conference. But to us, it's new, so get over it. We're talking about it. Anyway, PS5!
So who needs a new router?
Me. I'm always down for a new router. Me.
I'm saying LOL out loud.
Oh, the memes on Twitter last night were
know,
ridiculous.
it was so funny. Like, quite literally, myself and Tex were like watching it live and co-streaming at the same time. No joke, literally, I think 3 minutes after it ended, he was like, yo, check this out. Sends me a tweet. Quite literally, the first thing I see is a Netgear modem.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't stop laughing. And then I woke up this morning and it was just non-stop PlayStation 5 memes.
Yeah.
Like people putting 2 pieces of paper next to a Virgin Media router, which is not unsimilar to the one I had before, like the one I currently have. And then there was like somebody putting a white fold around the PlayStation 2. And, you know, everyone's seen everything.
That was it.
The PlayStation 2 one probably had me in stitches the most because I was like, man, I miss my PlayStation 2. It's a great
I've still
console.
got mine upstairs.
There's one picture I saw on Facebook that just killed it for me. I'm just trying to find it. And I would just... I'm not going to do any share screen. I'm not messing around with anything when I'm not going to ruin anything. But, man, this killed it for me. Here we go. I got the picture. It just works so well.
And for those of you who are listening to the audio version of this, what Diz just showed us was a picture of a duck bill with the PlayStation as its beak.
Yeah.
That is brilliant. I've also sent you guys a picture in the little podcast chat that we've got for ourselves. I sent it to Lance last night, but there's been so many people basically saying that the Destiny 2 helmets are the exact mates.
Yeah.
I've seen another one of Doug Dimmadome from Fairly Odd Parents with the big, massive white hat with the PlayStation 5 as that. I've seen
the one that I've seen, which had a lot of people talking to me today through streams and other streams, was the one that looked like Seto Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yes, I was just about to mention that.
I was like, oh my god. Everyone was like, oh god, everyone's seen the PlayStation 5 memes. Seto Kaiba. I was like, definitely fall into a trap card there.
It's going to set the mini fridge into the shadow realm.
To me, it will just always be a duck beak now. Just forever. Although someone has made a mock image of what it would look like with Spider-Man Miles Morales colours.
I've seen that. I saw that literally before it went live.
sick.
Yeah.
I haven't
It
seen
looks
that.
beautiful, man. There are some
Pretty sick.
fantastic renderings of that
Yeah.
right now. That looks nice. It's like when the PlayStation 5 controller was like officially revealed earlier this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was this year. I was like, how long? I can't remember how long ago it was revealed, but the week that it came out, there was already like 13 different renders of what that could look like customized, and all of them looked fantastic. There were some not so good, but there were some really, really well done ones. I remember looking at
Oh,
the
you want to make the
Spider-Man-
controller, yeah?
Yeah, the controller. Like the Spider-Man one looked really nice. There was a fantastic looking Yakuza one. God of War had a really nice one. There was a Cyberpunk one that looked pretty decent. There were some Chrome ones that looked pretty decent as well. They gave it like this. There was one that Phenom sent me, which had this really nice chrome purple look. And I normally don't go for chrome purple, but this one looked really nice. It was a very, very nice color. And then I thought Senpai, and I was like, he would like this.
I do like purple.
I am in love with the design for the controller.
It's a fantastic design. It's so much better than this. Look at this.
I'd like to hold it before I reserve judgment, but it does look very sort of ergonomic.
Like, in terms of like the thickness or whatever, it's kind of like in between a PS4 and an Xbox Elite controller. And it's like they've kind of taken both designs and tried to make a baby out of it. And I just love the look of it. I absolutely love the look of it.
It does look good. It does look good. I would like to see it sort of like outside of like a video rendering or something of that nature. I would like to see a physical like version of it. That's what I would like to see. But back on track to the actual reveal from last night.
Yep.
What was everyone's thoughts on it? Like, let's talk. What did everyone think of it?
Maybe if we take things in order, as I have the entire list here. I've been working on. So, guys, let me try and sell you a PS5. Let me try and sell you guys a PS5. How would you like?
Sold.
How would you like to
I'm
play
done.
a game that originally came out 2 PlayStations ago on the PS3? Because we're going to kick off our conference with Grand Theft Auto 5, a 2013 game.
Like,
For free.
have they actually just made enough money from that game that they can just give it away now?
Now, bearing in mind, it's not the game itself, it's Grand Theft Auto Online. It will be its own separate version. However, they did say that for each month, I'm assuming at least anyway, it's going to be each month that you log into Grand Theft Auto Online up until the PS5 releases, you are going to get $1 million in-game. And that's not bad. $1 million can get you a decent amount of stuff. But at the same time, it can't get you anything because everything costs like 10 million plus nowadays.
Yep.
So...
Like, don't get me wrong, I love that game to absolute pieces. I have owned it on the 360. I've actually owned it on every single console and PC that I have had. And I genuinely do love it. But my God, to have that as the game that you're launching the console with.
Look, like, if they want to go the Skyrim route, I don't mind. Like, release a version of GTA 5 on everything. I'm not going to buy them. But hey, if it gets you more money as a company that quite clearly doesn't need any more money, then fine, go ahead. But my understanding is, I'm pretty sure that with Grand Theft Auto... Now, I'm going to make this point really quick, because it's got nothing to do with the PS5. But Grand Theft Auto, Rockstar, released 4 games, all best-selling games, in the span of 7 years. Then in 2013 to now... They've only had Grand Theft Auto 5 that has kept getting re-released constantly. Yes, I know they're doing updates all the time. Are the updates great?
So,
no, not really.
Is that getting a new next-gen remaster as well, then? Or is it just coming out vanilla as it is at the moment?
I can't imagine it'll be remastered.
No, they have... if I remember correctly, they did say it was going to be... newly generated and stuff like that, so I imagine that they've updated the engine for the new console.
So this is going to be the 3rd iteration of it?
3rd remaster, yeah.
Wow, okay.
Because they technically upgraded it slightly for the PS4 and the Xbox One. Upgraded it even more for the PC, because obviously PC can handle it even better, and then I think they're upgrading it even more now for the PS5. And as far as my knowledge goes, there's been no mention of it coming to Xbox. So,
well, you got to remember that conference is until next month, allegedly. So you don't know what potentially could be happening for that. But that's obviously Xbox in a month's time, so we can't speculate on that right now.
Yeah, that at least they've got a partnership with Sony, at least to obviously give it away for free at launch and give you guys on free money online as well. So,
yeah.
No one can complain about
$1 million
No.
in-game currency is probably enough to buy a couple snacks and a bit of ammo.
Yeah.
You know, but hey...
Or maybe
you're not going to get the Vigilante.
No. But moving on, because we can't complain about GTA 5 all night. I do love the game, but that really shouldn't have been the first game announced. Spider-Man. Miles Morales, which we've had a little bit of conflicting information that's come out afterwards. I'm not sure if you guys have been following it.
I've heard about this today.
One of the chiefs of Sony came out and stated, don't get too excited. It's just a remastering of Spider-Man, and we're just putting an extra skin in, which is Miles Morales. Whereas Insomniac Games have come out and said, that's completely false. It's a brand new game in itself. It's not Spider-Man 2. It's just another Spider-Man game within that universe.
Yeah. See, now I've heard different information to that. I've heard that it is a complete sequel by Insomniac Games, because that was how it looked, at least on the trailer, that they were doing that completely differently. And then the other thing that I've heard is that it is essentially, as you say, not necessarily a remaster, but a redo of the engine for the PS5 with an expansion on top of it. And it's like, well, if it's just an expansion and it's going to be a remake, then at least give us the game, 1, for free, if you've already bought it and owned it. And 2, how big is this expansion going to be? Yeah. Because there's no real point reworking the whole entirety of New York City just for an extra game, when, as Insomniac Games are really, really good at, they can just upgrade it for a new engine, or an upgraded version of the engine if they've got it. But at the same time, I want a brand new full game. I loved Spider-Man to absolute bits, and I've platinumed that thing, and I would carry on playing it if there was more content. I do need to get the DLC and play through that at least, but please, Insomniac Games, give me a full-on sequel with purely Miles Morales in it, and I will be so goddamn happy.
I still haven't finished the original. I'm probably about 40% of the way through, but my god, is it a wonderful game.
I have it now, because I got it from... When was PlayStation doing that sale? It was on, like, the Game of the Year edition was on sale through PlayStation. I think I got it for like 13 quid or something less than that, with all the DLCs. And then I picked up God of War, their Game of the Year edition as well, for
about the same cost.
About the same price, yeah. So I was like, well, sweet, I've got some games to play. And obviously, with PlayStation saying that PS5 is backwards compatible, I was like, ding, thank you, sir. So I can play those. Hopefully. Well, I mean, to be fair, it's a digital version, so hopefully it will just play across. So
now, has it been confirmed that the PS5 is fully backward compatible?
It's one of the things they announced very early on when they were talking about the PS5.
So every single PS4 game that you own will work on the PS5.
According to
They haven't fully said that. What they are saying is, at the moment, they are testing each and every PlayStation 4 game to see if it works and works well. They are testing the current back catalogue of 4,000 plus games to make sure it works. However, they have stated that, I think it's either from this month or from next month, any game that gets released for the PlayStation 4 must also be compatible with the PlayStation 5.
Well, but to be fair, at this point in time, anything this year that was released should technically be backwards compatible. And even last year, technically, should be backwards compatible. Because the dev kits were out, last year? Was it last year? Yeah, last year, or maybe a little before that. So technically, anything from the last 2 years should technically be playable on the PS5 and backwards compatible, so to speak.
Right.
So, for me personally, Spider-Man Miles Morales is a yes. I'm going to buy.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
I
mean, if that comes out at launch, no matter what, I'm getting it at launch.
Yeah. Go on.
Go on.
I was saying, like, last night with TECHS, when we saw that trailer, I've always been in the mindset that when a new console launches, I would never buy them on day one, because I've seen what happens when people buy consoles on day one. Like, Diz, you know it as well. Yeah. You've seen it and you've been through it. I don't know about Senpai if you've seen it, but normally when people buy consoles on day one, there's always, without fail, a batch that will always not work. And I don't want to be in that category of people who spend X amount of money for said console to not work, and then you have to go back to the store. Yeah, well, that's another thing entirely.
That's different.
Yeah, but yeah, like in terms of like the hardware just breaking, or just something like literally technically wrong with it, then to have to send it back. So while that Spider-Man trailer made me go, that is a great game, it would make me want to get it quicker than I would anticipate getting one. I still wouldn't get one at launch. That's still my thing that I stick by. I still won't get one at launch. But if it was like Tech said, Spider-Man launches with the console, I would rethink it. Like, I would think about, I don't know what the pricing would be. The rumor is like it's between $450 to $550. But I'd be like, let me just dish out the money for it type thing. You know, I would spend for it.
I was going to say, if it's released as 500 with a game, and that's a game that's going to be a big AAA title, none of this bullshit PlayStation Playroom thing, you know, the VR whatever. It has to be a proper AAA title game at £500. I will probably get it on release. Or at least try to.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, this is the thing. I put a registered interest with one of the sites I used to get my consoles from. So they were like, don't deposit a penny and it's registered interest. I'm like, done.
My personal belief is that it's going to be £600 without any games and one controller.
That's a bit high.
Which edition?
High.
I think it will be. Either. Both.
Either?
I don't think it. No.
Because
obviously you've got the digital edition, and then you've got the one with the disc with the drive as well. I reckon that the digital edition will be like £100 cheaper, or £50 to £60 cheaper, something like that. Because a disc drive, at least a 4K UHD disc drive, doesn't cost much to implement, and they're gonna do all the frames and everything else, and that's all going to be roughly the same manufacturing cost anyway. So that's not going to be a problem. But me personally, I don't think they will go any higher than $450 on the cost.
See,
for the console alone.
So here's where
purely because
go on, sorry.
Yeah, purely because the Xbox One launched at that cost. And whilst it didn't sell as well as the PlayStation 4, because it was £100 cheaper and still technically more powerful, it still didn't sell all that bad. And obviously, there is so much more hardware going into these nowadays that it does essentially warrant the extra cost. And obviously inflation and everything else of economy and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I think as soon as they hit over that £450 mark, towards the £500 mark, that is going to hinder a lot of people's view on the console itself, and I think that will essentially drop a lot of sales.
Right.
Unless, as you say, Diz, it's £500 and comes with a game.
Yeah.
Now, when I got my PlayStation on launch, and I literally put it on launch day, it was £430, I think. Or I think it was meant to be £450, but I was working a game, I got a discount. And it came with an extra controller and the camera. And I wanted that purely because I kind of figured, and I had inklings that they were going to be doing VR systems for it and stuff, which I'm glad I was right. But that, to me, was a good cost. It was still cheaper than an Xbox One. You got the console, an extra controller, and the camera, and I think it was a game as well. I don't remember if I did or not, but I bought Killzone and a couple of extra games as well. And I absolutely loved it. I've still got to sit in here on my desk at the moment, but that was a good cost.
Yeah.
As I say, as soon as you start nearing that £500 mark, if it's just that for the console, you're not going to do well.
Yeah. I had this conversation with some other people regarding when they first dropped the announcement for PlayStation 5 and so forth. And we were discussing potentially what price it would be. A friend of mine was like, it's easy going to be 500. I was like, I don't think so. I said there was no way they would hit the £500 mark. But at that point, if you're hitting £500, like Tech says, it borders on are you really going to pay £500 for a console?
Exactly.
But only get the console with the controller and the bare essentials. And so, he was like, I would pay money for that. I'm like, I wouldn't, unless it was an incentive, like Diz said, there's a bundle or a deal of some kind that you want with it. But just buying it outright.
Launch day games is the important thing as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Or if it was like
you're not going to spend £500 on a console just to play GTA Online.
Yeah,
and then a couple of months later they're going to release some games. It's not how that's going to, nobody's going to fork that out.
Exactly.
Like when the Switch first came out, and wasn't it that the only game was Breath of the Wild?
Was it?
I swear there was a couple small titles, but in terms of AAA titles, I think that was it.
Oh, okay.
They had a couple of small little indie ones, but the biggest one that they had was Breath of the Wild.
And you're just how is there not a Mario game out? How is there, not even why was Luigi's Mansion not done early, or
Super Mario Maker?
Yeah. But
it's weird for I'm not entirely sure about the Wii because I never had a Wii, but I think this is the first console that's come out from Nintendo where they haven't launched with a Mario game. They launched with
Yes.
Mario 64 for the N64, obviously. They launched with Super Mario World for the Game Boy. Or did they launch with... I didn't pay any attention to the Wii, so I don't know if they actually launched with a Mario game or anything like that.
No, Mario game with the Wii.
I know.
Yeah. Mario Wii Sports, yeah.
So it may be the Wii and the
I think it
Switch
was
were
Mario,
the two consoles.
Was it Mario Kart? They had a game. There was a Mario ready
Yeah,
for
not
it.
sure. Not sure.
Yeah.
Was it
I want
Deluxe?
to say Mario Kart.
Or was that
it
after?
Deluxe? I think. No, that was. I can't remember now.
Wii
I'm
U.
going blank. No, Wii U had one. Then I think Wii had one as well.
I tell you what, why don't you guys discuss the next game on the list for the PS5 conference, which is Gran Turismo, and I'll actually fact check what came out launch day with the Wii.
Cool. Okay, Gran Turismo.
Not my game. Alex is interested.
To be fair, like you Senpai, it's not my game normally. I don't mind racing games, but Gran Turismo has always been that franchise where people who I've known who have enjoyed it have really enjoyed it. They would be like, oh, I would take Gran Turismo over Forza or Need for Speed or whatever other racing game there was. But they like Gran Turismo because of the realism and everything else that goes in line with it. I've never really played one, so I can't attest to what it's like because it never appealed to me. Tex, I know you've played it. I think when you mentioned it yesterday when we were watching the stream, you've given me like a little bit of insight into like what it was really like playing the game. But for me personally, it's not a game that I would buy for the console as a launch title. But visually looking at the trailer yesterday and the demo they showed, it's good. It looks really stunning. Like I can see why on a 4K 60 frames it would look fantastic.
Yeah, as I said to Lance last night during the stream, Gran Turismo for me, I played GT4 on the PS2, GT5 on the PS3, GT6 on the PS3, and GT5 especially for me was absolutely amazing because it was one of the only racing games ever to actually get both of my parents involved. The UI was nice and simple, the graphics were amazing for the PS3 at the time, and just the fact that it managed to get my parents both involved in a game that I could play with them, multiplayer, or like at least just trying to see who could get the best times with the same car, same track, and everything else was really good for me. And then GT6 carried that on. So I'm actually really looking forward to seeing what GT7 brings into it, with the graphics looking absolutely amazing. As Lance has said, 4K 60 FPS would be awesome. Especially with ray tracing and everything else involved, would blow my parents' mind and would really confuse my dad because he's like, how can graphics get any better than GT6? And you have a look at the GT7 trailer and it's like, you had realistic in GT6, now you've got photorealistic in GT7, where you would not be able to tell the difference on those cars.
Yeah.
And that is what I really look forward to, because that is what GT really brings to the table. It's the realism of everything. The driving, the tracks, the people, absolutely everything. It just looks really good for me.
So, quick question: was this GT7 they announced for the PS5,
7,
or was this was 7?
It was 7, yeah.
See, I'm not the biggest fan of racing games. I played a Gran Turismo back on, I would probably say, the PS1. But it looks good. I'm not going to take anything away from the graphics or how real the game actually looks. It looks like a fun game to play. It's probably not one I'm going to be picking up, though.
No,
that's fair enough.
I'd be interested in watching people play it.
Sorry, say again, dude. You cut out for me.
I'd be interested in watching streams of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you wouldn't mind watching it. The only racing game I really play is Need for Speed. That's the only real one I really enjoy, just because I think it's because
it's arcade, it's a lot more fun.
Yeah, it's arcade, it's a lot more fun, and I kind of know the cars better in that, and the whole like tuning nature and stuff like that, and the modding nature in that. But I think it also stems from the fact when I was younger, I played Daytona, and I felt like Need for Speed and Daytona had like a weird sync for me, so that's probably why I enjoy it more.
I think the only thing for me is with GT7, what is really making me excited for it is that you've got all that photorealism, as I mentioned. But then, hopefully, with the speed of the new SSD, GT6, just to load a race would take you a good, 5 minutes to load the cars, the race, absolutely everything else. I'm really hoping that they can still get all of that data and just load it so much faster. Because GT6 would have to install absolutely everything to the hard drive, which would take up a good extra 70 odd gig. So I'm really hoping that, one, you don't have to install it to the SSD. Because I'm hoping that obviously the disk drive itself is going to be faster, but even if you do have to install it, that it will load so much quicker than what GT6 did. Is what I'm hoping for.
Oh, well, yeah, with the tech they're throwing in there, it should hopefully do it.
But right, before we move on to the next game on the list, just doing my fact checking for Wii release games on launch day. The biggest title was Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess.
Loved that game.
There was not a Mario game in sight.
Okay. So
Okay.
the Wii and the
I
Switch,
think the very
they
first
didn't
Mario
launch
game on the
Mario.
Wii was... Yeah, well, they did it with Zelda, and that would have sold enough. I mean, I tried Twilight Princess just before launch, and absolutely fell in love with the controls for it. It was awesome. So that sold it for me straight out. But I think the first Mario game to release on the Wii was probably Super Mario Galaxy, I think.
That's
and that
a
was
good
a really,
shout.
really
That
good
could
game
be
as well.
right.
I think it was. Anyway.
Right, next game on the list for the PS5 press conference. A fun little platformer game. It's had many games over every single PlayStation. It was Ratchet & Clank.
Never
Yes.
played it.
Oh, I'm disappointed in you, sir. I am very much disappointed. Like, I think probably out of the four of us, I am the biggest Ratchet & Clank fan here, because I've played absolutely every one of them since they first came out on the PlayStation 2. And have completed almost every one of them. But I absolutely adore them to bits.
So what did you think of this trailer then?
The graphics look absolutely amazing. It was the first one to fully announce actual ray tracing on there, and seeing all the reflections on the floor, the water, even the destruction of the boxes splitting into all different splinters and everything else looked absolutely amazing. The weapons looked really, really good. And it was not just Spyro, the original games, but it was more Ratchet & Clank that made me a fan of Insomniac games, and I follow every one of those series now that they make. So Ratchet & Clank, Spyro when they did those originally, Resistance all the way through to Resistance 3, and then obviously Spider-Man as well. I fell in love with all of the games, and it was actually the whole Insomniac games thing that sold me to get an Xbox One with Sunset Overdrive. When they released that, that was what sold me on the Xbox. Even though that wasn't anywhere near as good, it looked like a kind of Ratchet & Clank rip-off.
Sunset Overdrive looked insane.
I picked that up
really
on Xbox
is.
Game Pass and never played it.
I would recommend at least giving it a try, but what the reviews say is true. It is fetch quest, fetch quest, fetch quest, fetch quest.
Right.
And it is really, really fun to play, and as they said, it is absolutely insane, but the story of it, and it is so self-aware that it is a game that the jokes become stale very, very quickly.
Right.
So
kind of like Deadpool.
it was kind of like trying to be Deadpool, but they overplayed it. So that was what was a major put off. I only managed to put like 4 or 5 hours into it, and it just got too much even that quick. But Ratchet & Clank looks really, really good, and the fact that they are still following the lore so many games in the fact that, yes, Ratchet is meant to be the last of his kind, and then they bring in an extra person because it's meant to be a different dimension. It's brilliant for me because it really brings in the fact that, yes, maybe he's not the last one, and it made me so happy.
But for Tex, I'm assuming Ratchet & Clank is a definite buy for you then.
Yes. I'm like, if again, just same as Spider-Man Miles Morales, if Ratchet & Clank is a launch title from the get-go, it, no matter what money I've got, I'm buying a PlayStation 5 on launch.
Lance, what did you think of the trailer?
It was good. It was good. I've not really dabbled in Ratchet and Clank, but I've seen it and I know and I respect the franchise for what it is. I understand people's love for it. It's just it was never the one that resonated with me. I mentioned it to yesterday when it was out and people were playing it. I was very heavily into my beat 'em ups. So for me, it was like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, stuff like that. I was playing heavily at the time. So that was my bread and butter back then. But I knew of like Ratchet and Clank. I knew people liked it. I just, like I said, it wasn't something for me. But It looked good. The trailer yesterday, it really did. I liked it. Looked normally Ratchet Clank's like it's side scrolling in a weird way. Side scrolling, isn't it? Is it side scrolling? No, is it how?
No, it's always been 3D.
What's the one I'm thinking of then? Is it?
You might be thinking of Crash Bandicoot.
I'm thinking of Crash
Bandicoot. No, that was
always
3D as well, wasn't it?
Well, I always view Crash
2.5.
Bandicoot sort of
It
like
was forwards and backwards.
Yeah, it's sort of like side scrolling, so to speak. But obviously, you can go backwards and forwards. But yeah, it looked good though. But I don't know if it's one of the games I would pick up for myself though.
Okay. Well, next on the list.
What about you, Diz? Would you get it?
Me again. I would wait to see what it's like. I would like to watch other streamers give it a go before I pick it up. I haven't been so heavy into the Ratchet and Clank. I think I played 2 or 3 back in the day, but it's not something where I followed the whole series. But it does look good.
If you guys do want a good intro to it, I do recommend picking up the latest one, which was essentially a full remake / remaster / rework of the very first one, which they also released a movie with in conjunction with it, because the way that they played it was the movie's based on the original game and then the new game is based on the movie, and they played it in that sense.
Okay.
But I do recommend picking that up if you want to get a good kickstart into the series.
I do remember seeing a couple of
yet.
years ago that they were doing some sort of Ratchet and Clank movie. It must have been about
that-
3 or 4 years ago, and that was the last I heard of it. I didn't actually see it release or anything like that. I thought it was going to be sort of like not so much a spiritual successor, but like a spiritual sequel to the Sonic movies or something like that. But it just never happened. I didn't realise it was it's kind of like the Final Fantasy VII film. It's such a niche sort of film that it didn't actually get like a proper cinema release, did it? I thought maybe Ratchet and Clank got the same sort of treatment. Did it?
No, it got a full-on cinema release. I think one of my kids went to go and see it, and they actually really enjoyed it. But the game also sold pretty well from what I know, purely because of anybody that played it originally would have gone back to go and play it as well, because it literally was a complete rework of the first game, which even in my mind is still one of the best ones, and I actually managed to complete this one, so absolutely loved it. So I do recommend picking that one up if you guys ever get the chance. It's generally cheap now, so.
Okay. Next on the list was a game by the name of Project Athia, if I've pronounced that bit right.
Yeah,
which kind of...
Yeah, this was a Square Enix
the Square
one,
yeah, the Square Enix one.
We got a
looks
very small look at the gameplay.
Yeah, Tex and I were looking at it. We were a little bit like, oh, I wonder what this is. We weren't expecting it to be a Final Fantasy game. I personally wasn't expecting it to be a Final Fantasy game if it was one. But I mean, Project Athia, I think I read somewhere this was a game that had been announced a while ago, and they've incrementally just been teasing the name and the odd thing here and there, but there's been nothing fully.
Yeah.
Like, there's been no real information for it about what's come out and so forth. So, I mean, it looked interesting for the little bit that I saw, but that's all I saw was just a little bit, and it's a Square game. So, they kind of follow a trend, so to speak, but I'm not really sure what to say until I actually see more.
Yeah, to me, it kind of looked like a God of War-esque game, but if the lead character was a mage. Like, the scene where all of the branches came out of the ground and just grappled the enemy, like, I thought that looked badass.
Well, they sent out an email, because if you're signed up for like the Square Enix mail and stuff like that, which I am at the moment, they sent out an extra mail for it, and it is coming to PC as well, but they've said nothing for Xbox, so it looks like it's a PlayStation 5 console exclusive at least.
You reckon that's
got the trailer
for
on there
now, or just a timed exclusive?
It could be a
I
timed.
don't know.
It could be a timed exclusive. A lot of places are doing times. Well, a lot of games are trying to do the timed exclusive thing now, so potentially it could be a timed one.
Could be. I mean, the thing what stands out to me the most is it's being done by, obviously it's being produced by Square Enix, but it's being made by Luminous Productions. And no, my bad. I got confused. I always get Luminous Productions mixed in with Crystal Dynamics, and it's Crystal Dynamics that does the Tomb Raider games.
Right.
But Luminous Productions, as far as my knowledge goes, are the people that also work on the Final Fantasy series. Or at least I think they've worked with them on that at least. But to me, it does look absolutely amazing, at least graphically. But
Looks phenomenal.
Luminous Productions always put in so much effort with their games. So I will definitely pick that up, but I think they said it was going to be 2021.
Yes, I think it
there was a few 2021 games last night.
Quite
there was
a
a few
few
2021s, and there was a 2022 one there as well.
Yeah, that one kind of threw me for a loop. I haven't written down what one it was, but I was just like, 2022? In your part of the launch conference?
Yeah, it was actually Luminous Productions that did Final Fantasy 15.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah, so that's where I'm getting a very, very slight mix-up. But they did Final Fantasy 15, and I loved that game. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they can bring to the table, which is probably why I got so confused with yourself, Lance, during the stream, thinking it was Final Fantasy 16. Even though I still thought it was way too soon after Final Fantasy 15 released. But
Yep.
like,
Same.
I'm definitely looking forward to what these guys can bring to the table when they're not doing a Final Fantasy series.
Right, next game I've got on the list is a game called Stray, where my only note I wrote with it was Cat Simulator.
Yeah, it was amusing to watch because Tex and I were just like, what is this?
You're just a cat with a backpack going around a robot world.
Yeah, and then you just sit up top and just look down on everyone.
Yeah, again, like, if they show me what the game is about, I could be interested. But in terms of the trailer, it didn't catch me.
Did any of you watch the series on Netflix that was called Love, Death and Robots?
No.
Okay, so it's a series of short little animated episodes. Like there's about 12 or 16 of them. The first episode just reminded me of that trailer.
Okay.
Go check it out and you will see what I mean. It's sort of like robots walking around in a dystopian world where all the humans are dead.
And it's just robots and cats?
Cats with backpacks.
Oh, okay. Cats with backpacks, yeah.
See, this trailer, as I mentioned to Lance on the stream last night, really, like, just the robot face designs really put me in the mind of Job Simulator. And how they were designed.
I get that.
And obviously, in Job Simulator, you're meant to be the only human around. So, it really put me in the mind of that. But I sent the trailer over to Mittens last night because she's a really big cat lover, and I figured she might be interested. But I did some extra reading on it, and essentially what it is, like, you are playing as the cat, and essentially trying to figure out a couple of mysteries of where the rest of your family's disappeared off to. Now, cat families can be bloody huge, as we all know.
Yep.
But essentially trying to find out why there are homeless robots, and I think trying to figure out a couple of mysteries as to what exactly happened, where everything's going, and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm actually really intrigued by this, and I will probably pick that up.
Cool. So far, I think you're a near yes for everything, so...
So far, yeah.
Get to earning some more money.
I would start saying yes, but my issue with this is a lot of it was just cinematics, and I'd try not to get hyped over games that are just cinematic trailers.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fair thing to keep an eye out for. Like, obviously, cinematics are designed by nature to look good. Until you actually see gameplay, then you're like, man, you know, I
see
don't
some
like the look of
gameplay, read into what the story's going to be about.
Yeah.
Then I'll base my that's when I'll put coal in the hype train and set it off down the tracks.
Yeah. I get that. There were quite a few trailers here where it was literally just cinematics, and it's like, not too sure if I'm going to get too excited about that just yet. But right, after Stray, / Cat Simulator, they then treated us to a few specs that are coming up with the console and the controller. So everything I've got listed here is 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray, ultra high-speed SSD, ray tracing, haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, and then also to do with the controller, a built-in mic and integrated speakers, which I thought was pretty cool. Headset jack and 3D audio, which I'm very much looking forward to how games implement 3D audio.
Microphone in a controller I'm a little bit concerned about because I tend to get a bit ragey, and if I'm playing with some teammates and I slam my controller down on the desk, I may burst some eardrums.
I'm assuming
or
it's
break
a
the
feature.
3.5 jack in the.
And yeah.
I'm assuming with it being a built-in mic, the way I would see it is you start a game, and if there is the option to use the mic, it would say, would you like to turn this feature on? Like, I'm hoping the mic is always off until it gives you the option to turn it on. At least I hope. You know, there's going to be some conspiracy theorists out there like, Sony, they're always listening. The microphones are in your controllers.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. From what I've been reading so far, that we already knew that it had a built-in microphone. But from what I've read so far, that microphone is going to be purely for the new assistant feature that's being built for the PlayStation 5. So, say for example, you might be able to say, PlayStation, how can I get such and such trophy, or is there a guide for this trophy? And it will bring up the information for the trophy that you're looking at, and then different guides from web searches as to how you can get it, like PS4 trophy guides and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's
that's the information that I've
so
got.
it's Sony's version of Alexa or Google Home or
It sounds like that, yeah.
right.
PlayStation.
The only game,
Find me a platinum.
the only game that I played on the PS4 that ever used that little speaker on the controller, there was two of them. There was, you could turn this off as well. It was GTA, GTA 5, so the lights would flash, but when you're being chased by the cops, the sound would come out of the controller. And there was a little indie game that I absolutely adored called Stick It to the Man. It's a little,
that was a good game, to be fair.
Stick
It was a
It to
little,
the Man was fun.
but they used that speaker a lot.
Right.
Okay.
They were the only two games on the PS4 that I played that actually utilised it.
Okay.
There was a number of games, in my opinion, that utilised it well. GTA 5 being one of them. Stick It to the Man was another. If I remember correctly, all of the Killzone was another one that used it to really good effect, because as soon as you heard an enemy on the radio, it would come through your PlayStation controller. I think Horizon also used it as well. So it was a lot of first-party games that also that utilised that the most. Same for the touchpad as well, because it was region-based. Like, you could, on Killzone at least, you could swipe up for one weapon, swipe left for another, swipe right for another, and then swipe down for another. And it was that kind of localized swiping that allowed Killzone, at least for me, to give me a lot of immersion in it. As you rightly mentioned, though, Senpai, like, the light bar on the controller wasn't utilized to its best effect for single-player games, in my own opinion. But then again, it was never really bright enough to affect anything.
It was never really
noticed.
bright enough, and the way that it's actually no, I haven't. It points down as well. So if you're like sitting here and you have nothing in front of you, you have no idea that the light's going off. It's only if you've got
the only
a
time I
surface
ever noticed
or
it
your
was
lap
if
or
I was
something
sitting
like
in a
that.
dark room.
Yeah, that's the only time you would ever realise that the light bar was actually going off. But it was so amazing when it flashed red and blue when you were being chased by the cops in GTA 5.
Yeah.
I loved that.
But right, next on the list, we have a game where the best way to describe it is, has anyone seen Wreck-It Ralph? The Disney film. It's a Pixar movie.
No,
right.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
So Ralph jumps into a game where it's kind of like their version of Halo, and they're fighting bugs. And you have the lead, which is the woman with the blonde hair running around going crazy, shooting everything.
Jane Lynch.
Yeah. So this game is called Returnal, and for some reason I could only think of Wreck-It Ralph when I saw this trailer.
I had to look this up during the actual thing, because the voice of the narrator, or if it's going to be the protagonist or whatever, sounded it sounded so much like Brianna Tarth.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is it her?
I had to actually look up to see if it was her. It's not.
Okay. Because I saw the model for the character they used, and I looked and thought, she looks remarkably like the scientist from Resident Evil 2, the remake. And I was like, is that the same person? And I didn't follow up on looking at it, but for part of me was like, it's the same person.
If it's done by face scans, it could be.
Maybe. I mean, she's not
Potentially,
she couldn't have been it, yeah. But yeah, I mean, looking at that trailer last night, I thought to myself, this gave me a Death Stranding-ish vibe.
Yeah.
A little bit in terms of like the horror and the what were they called again? The beat. What are they called in Death Stranding text? The things that hunt you, the invisible things.
Mate, I haven't played Death Stranding in a while. I'm actually going to be picking that up again as of over the weekend.
Yeah.
So to carry on playing that.
Yeah, but those creatures, yeah, it reminded me a little bit of that. But the combat system it had in it didn't look too bad. But I think that was like the first gameplay trailer we had from last night. It didn't look too bad, but it was one of those games where I was like, I would like to see more if it would be something I would pick up.
Yeah, definitely.
I think for me with
yes.
that, I actually think this is the first one I was a little bit iffy with, purely for the fact that it's closer to a roguelike, which I really don't get on with because it's literally the same thing over and over and over again. And it's like, yeah, I play Call of Duty and all of that lot, but at least they are more fun with it, whereas a roguelike, it's a case of start, learn, die, start again, learn more, die, and it's like that kind of thing really, really bugs me because I don't want to have to keep restarting over and over and over again just to keep learning more. I would much rather start the game, learn as much as I can. If I do die, then don't go right back to the start and it looks like this is what it is. However, if it is actually story-based, where you die at a specific point and then you come back and the planet has changed and learned from you and you have to learn how to survive these new areas and stuff, and it actually gives you new areas, then fine, not a problem. It's where you get to the point of, like, say, Enter the Gungeon, where it's the same levels, just kind of remapped slightly. I don't get along with the whole remapping of the same areas. Don't fucking bother. So I'm really hoping that it is actually story-based with the deaths and everything, rather than, oh, if you die, you just got to restart again.
Yeah. So, Senpai, got any thoughts on it?
I don't actually really remember that much of that trailer, to be honest with you.
That's fair enough.
It may have been a pee break. It may be in a pee break, sorry.
You know you can pause YouTube. Just saying.
Even a live stream.
Okay, well, next game on the list. It doesn't mind that we're going through these games quite quick because we've still got
if you don't mind, I have actually just seen on Twitter, Insomniac. This is from IGN.
Yeah.
Insomniac Games later clarified Spider-Man Miles Morales is a standalone game rather than an expansion, saying Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales is the next adventure in Marvel's Spider-Man universe. We will reveal more about this standalone game at a future date.
Perfect.
So it is a standalone game, which I'm looking forward to then.
Definitely.
Just thought I'd include that.
No, thank you. It's obviously good that they're correcting the mistake that someone at Sony has obviously just gone out and said his own thing, and everyone's like, what the is going on? Don't show us one thing that's its own thing, and then you come out and say it's not its own thing, it's just a rework of this thing. It's like... But right, next on the list, I'm not really too sure if this game is for any of us. Maybe, but it looks like a platforming version of Little Big Planet, and it's just called Sackboy.
Yeah.
I did enjoy Little Big Planet.
Yeah, this got me very interested.
Okay. I mean, are you guys fans of the previous?
I really enjoyed Little Big Planet 1 and 2. The third one I never really bothered with. I think it was because with the creative tools in Little Big Planet 1 and 2, I really, really wanted to create a pinball machine. And I could never really do it to a decent effect, despite how much I tried. So I never tried Little Big Planet 3, but with this being a full-on 3D adventure, I said this to Lance while we were streaming it, that I'm really hoping that they still include the whole option of creating your own levels. If it is purely story-based, I'm not going to mind. It looks fun. It's got 4-player co-op. I'm going to have fun with that. But at the same time, I really want to be able to make my own 3D adventure levels rather than just 2D platforming.
Yeah.
And that is what I'm really, really hoping for.
So you're going to buy it?
if it has the level creation, then yes.
So that's like what, 6 out of, like, what would be like 1 shy off a yes, of a full yes.
I have a feeling you really enjoyed this conference.
I really did. I was really hyped over it.
I have a strange feeling this Christmas TECHS will be let you have like no home. What did you have for Christmas, TECHS? What did you eat? Nothing. We had paper. I ate the PS5 box. It went lovely with water.
But Senpai, you a fan of the Little Big Planet series?
I played 2 and 3 on the Vita, I think it was. I never
Oh my
actually
god,
got. I
that's
think
back
it was,
in the day.
Yeah, I
PSP
think
Vita.
it got a PS3 release. It didn't get a PS4 release or
Are
a
you saying
remake or
that the
anything
Vita
like
Little
that.
plays
Planet
games?
3 was on the... Little Big Planet
Vita
3
does
was on the
play games.
PS4.
Oh, it's always
Was
been
it?
a coaster for me. Never mind, anyway.
Pew, 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 pew. Yeah, no, I did.
Probably the
really,
reason
really
why they
enjoy
failed is
that
because you
style of
didn't
game.
actually use it.
I never really properly utilised the whole like sandbox, build your own sort of levels
Yeah.
element of it. You know, it's the sort of thing that TECHS would be more interested in. But yeah, the
TECHS.
story and the gameplay, I did actually really enjoy. It's a really, really beautiful game. I'm looking forward to see how they turn out in a next gen.
It looked fun. It's not the kind of game that I would buy and then realise no one else has bought it and I'd have to sit there and play it by myself. I know if I was the only one that bought it, I would never play the game. If I could buy it guaranteed that I would have people to play it with, it looks like it could be fun.
Yeah.
So this would be another coaster for you.
Probably. Not unless I get the digital PlayStation, in which case the whole PlayStation will be a coaster.
Man, imagine the T marks on that on that PlayStation.
But right, next game on the list, which I did say previously that I'm not a huge fan of car games when we were talking about Gran Turismo, but my god, Destruction All-Stars looked so much fun.
It had, for me, it had a slight Fortnite look.
What, the
in terms of
cartoony
the,
look?
in terms of the art style. It was a
I get
mix up.
that.
It was kind of like if you took Fortnite and you took like Borderlands and mushed them all together and threw it in and then said, okay, let's make a car crash game out of this, like Wreckfest or something like that. Let's just throw all of that into one game and see what comes out.
I did play Destruction Derby and Destruction Derby 2 on the PlayStation 1. Yes, I'm that old. And I absolutely loved those games. So Destruction All-Stars really, really interests me.
Point of interest.
The Fortnite look.
You've annoyed
You're
him
the youngest
now.
one here, shut up.
Even still, no, like other than Wreckfest, as you mentioned, I've not seen a good looking Destruction Derby game in many, many years. I've still not picked up Wreckfest. I still have the full intention of picking it up if I can find people to play with, but this one looks really, really fun for me.
Yeah, definitely. Like, for me, this would be a definite yes, because I feel like there's enough in the game that if you don't have friends to play it with, playing against the CPU would be enough.
Yeah.
Because if you just want to blow off some steam, you just get in a car and you just wreck some faces, man. Like, it just, it looks like a proper beat 'em up game, but in cars, and it just looks fun, man. Looks fun.
That was the whole interest of Destruction Derby for me. Like, there was one solid map where it was one giant circle, which over the edges would dip down and then in the middle come up to one massive hill.
Yeah.
And that was honestly the best love of the PlayStation 1 for me as a kid, where you could all, like, there was probably 15 cars in there, but you were all evenly spaced around the circle, but you would all literally charge into the middle and then just launch straight up and all just absolutely wreck each other right in the middle mid-air.
Yeah.
And this is the whole thing that interests me with the new Destruction All-Stars, is that I'm really hoping they have similar kind of maps to that, even with the extra environmental destruction of the giant windmills, saw blades, whatever you want to call them, all in the middle, helping to wreck each other, and that puts it all perfectly together for me.
Definitely.
Anyway, Lance, my bad.
That's all right, dude. That's all good. I while it looked entertaining, it was one of those things where I looked at it and thought, this looks like a CG trailer for me. There was not really
Probably was.
gameplay for me, so I was kind of like, I'll wait to. If this was I'll wait to see what it looks like once officially released. But it looked pretty, so I give it that. Very
Fair
pretty.
enough. Another game, the one that came next, didn't really get a lot of gameplay. It was probably about 30 seconds of gameplay footage, and then the rest was cinematics. Kenna, Bridge of Spirits.
Oh, this is
It
the
looked
game that looks
pretty.
really, really pretty. Yeah,
They
really
look very
pretty.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I like the way that it kind of implemented what looked like the little soot creatures from the Studio Ghibli movies.
Spirited Away, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked at this, and like I mentioned the text yesterday, it looked good, and it did pique an interest for me. But like I said, there wasn't a lot of gameplay, but it did look good, and we did pretty much jokingly call it
Totoro's Revenge.
Yeah, Totoro's Revenge.
You actually made that joke.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, someone else did, but we just ran with it.
We ran with it, yeah. But it was it looked good, and I don't know if they gave a date or when it was out, but
I think 2021.
Yeah,
was it 2021? Oh, if it was next year,
so.
then yeah, it's a game I will keep an eye out for, and then I will obviously wait to see what they release in terms of footage and so forth, and then if it's worth a potential buy, it's on the list as a yes.
For me, it kind of had a similar sort of game style and play style to something like Ori and the Blind Forest, smushed with a little bit of like Limbo or Inside or that style of game. And maybe. It's a maybe for me.
Yeah,
I like that style of game.
Yeah. I think it did enough to pique an interest because I'd never heard of it, but yet having watched that little trailer and video yesterday, it did enough for me to go, okay, this is something I can keep an eye out for, and if I remember it comes out, I will pick it up. If it's kept going with what they're doing with it.
It kind of struck me as this game was, I think it was free on Epic last week. There's a game called Max and the Curse of Brotherhood, which was an ID at Xbox game originally that Epic have picked up. It's a similar sort of style, sort of like side-scrolling, gotta save people. Yeah, it's a sort of game that I'm quite interested in. But yeah, Max is definitely the same sort of game.
Tex, you?
For me, what struck me the most about it is the fact that it's being made essentially by an animation company, which is why I think the graphics looked so nice, because they are, like when I think it was the two brothers were doing the introduction to the game. It said that they were part of an animation company that's moving over to make a start on games. That's what struck me the most, is that like if these two guys that are probably the guys that are in charge of the company and stuff, but if these guys can work as animation on movies, imagine what either DreamWorks or Pixar could do in that kind of style, where they move over from the animation into actual in-game engines and working on that kind of stuff. And that is where it got my interest the most. And as Lance said, it looked, with the sprites and everything else, it looked like Totoro's Revenge, or as I said, Totoro with the Empire Strikes Back kind of thing. But it just got me wondering as to what those kind of larger companies could do if they did exactly the same thing. I'll probably pick it up for my kids, because they love gaming as well, so I'll probably pick it up for them, and I'll probably end up playing it myself. But it looked fun.
So it's another
really,
yes
really pretty
from
at
you.
least. It's a maybe for me, a yes for the kids.
But you're still buying it though. I thought it looked incredibly pretty, man. It looked like a really, for what you saw, it looked like a really nice, fun game. Before I judge whether I'm getting it or not, though, I would need to see more gameplay footage.
Right.
But big old thumbs up.
Nice.
For the people watching the audio, I put my thumb up. There we go. Okay. Right, next game on the list. I don't even think we need to bother talking about it because it was 100% cinematic, and also my only note was WTF. It's Goodbye Volcano High.
Oh god, yeah.
Oh,
weird rom-com dinosaur thing.
Yeah.
I like Animal Kingdom style thing. I looked at it and I thought, what am I watching here? Are we back at E3 like maybe 5 years ago when they were doing like the PlayStation TV? Is this a series that's coming to it? But
to me, it looked very mixed between Animal Crossing and what was that other episodic game that just got a sequel recently? Life is Strange.
Oh shit!
It really put me in the mind of
okay.
it really put me in the mind of like think of Animal Crossing but mixed with Life is Strange.
Interesting.
It did get that feel.
Okay.
This was one of the first games where I was like, I'm probably not going to bother with it.
But we know you are.
we have one.
Yeah.
However, having a look on Twitter, one of the people that I follow is a writer for Larian Games, as Lance knows, is one of the people that the company that did Divinity: Original Sin.
Mm-hmm.
He actually follows the same makers of this game, and it kind of piqued my interest because it is going to be fully story based, and the animation. Don't get me wrong, the animation actually looked really, really nice.
Yeah.
But I just don't know whether the animation alone can sell it for me on the story. So
Yeah.
I'm a maybe on that.
We already
I'm a
know what
maybe.
you really are. You're gonna buy
I'm
it.
a maybe. Upon release, I'll buy it, but it's in the bundle.
But again, for me, they need to show some kind of gameplay, like
Yeah.
anything. Like we didn't even get a 10-second clip, but hey, it could be interesting. It could end up being just
One of the best ones out there.
just a nothing game. Who knows? Until we see more, I've honestly got no opinion of it.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact that I know TECHS will buy it. So the next game on the list is a return of an old school PlayStation classic. We've been brought back to the wonderful world, the Oddworld, with Oddworld Soulstorm. I remember playing the very first one, and I thought it was funny because all the characters said shit when something went wrong. And for me as a young kid, that was
I think this was also the only trailer from last night that they actually had swearing in as well, wasn't it?
Yes, I think so. Which is weird considering they had GTA.
And it was
5.
also just one of them just saying, "Oh shit."
Yeah, that was it. So, Tex, tell us what you think about the game and that when you're going to buy it as well.
Right. I mean, Lance was really confused with this game at first on the stream, and I had to confirm for him that it is it's basically Oddworld, but Abe's Odyssey.
Yeah.
And it's following on from that. Now, what I saw of it actually looked really fun and a lot more chaotic than the remake of Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey. So, yeah, I'll probably buy it, but I've got no chance of playing more than a couple of hours on it because I'm going to get so annoyed with constantly dying on it that I will get pissed off.
Crash
But I'm just going to have...
You upset at games? Never.
I'm going to get 2 hours in and I'm going to be no more than 15 minutes of playthrough in there because I'm constantly going to be making the fart noises.
So you've pretty much
Excuse
confirmed
me.
that you're probably buying a full-priced AAA title game and you're only going to play it for about 5 hours. Man, we have just
For the fart
learned
noises.
For the fart
that
noises,
you
yeah.
want to throw your money away. I said, just give me the money and I'll make fart noises at you.
Oh, okay, I'll pay you like the price of a full-price game and you can make my new Twitch alerts of just fart noises.
Dude, just if you called me 5 minutes after dinner, it was like a 10-minute trumpet solo. Record the whole thing for you. But Lance, did you have any thoughts? Is it for you?
No, this is not for me. I thought it looked good. Oh, he's going to do a fart sound. There he goes.
I need to pee.
Same thing. No, it wasn't a game that was for me. It looked good. I knew Tex would enjoy it, but and I recognized it from like when he confirmed it for me. I was like, I've seen this before, but I couldn't put a finger on it style thing. But no, this is not one of the games I'll be getting at release or when it comes out. But yeah, it looked fun, but no.
Yeah, I don't think it's a buy for me either because I've only ever played one of them before, and it was fun for the swearing and the fart noises. But it's just a regular platform game that you can play with any platform title. It was pretty much same thing, different skin. You know? But next on the list, not really sure what to think about this game. It looked freaking awesome. The title was Ghostwire Tokyo.
See, this game I saw the trailer for at E3 last year.
Yeah,
and it was around about the same time when they were like at E3 during that segment. There was a load of Japanese themed games coming out. There was like Ghost of Tsushima, Sekiro, stuff like or maybe not Sekiro, but there was a lot of Japanese themed stuff coming out. And this game had a trailer that made it look good. And I was like, oh, this was quite good. It could be like a supernatural Neo Cyberpunk Tokyo style game. And then last night when Tex and I were watching the trailer for Ghostwire, we were like, is this VR? It's moving like a VR game. I'm confused here.
Ooh,
this is not what I envisioned it. That's the thing, though.
Good
like,
point.
we're talking about Ghostwire Tokyo, Tex.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just because the way it was moving and the way things were happening in the game, it wasn't what I thought it was like. But for some reason, as we were watching through it, a part of me went, "Wait, is this a VR game? Have they made this specifically for VR on PlayStation 5?" So my interest kind of went from, "Oh, this looks good," to I don't know what to make of it now. And then Tex told me he was buying it.
No. What I said was I doubt it's going to be a VR game. Despite how much it looks like one of those, I doubt it will ever be a VR game, purely because obviously by the looks of things, you're playing as a Japanese kind of exorcist or like demon exorcist, whatever else. And by the law, a lot of those have got different hand symbols, kind of like Naruto with the whole ninja symbols and stuff like that. You're not going to remember how to make that on a VR game, so I highly doubt it's going to be VR.
I don't know.
Highly
How many buttons are on the remote?
Not many. 4.
Well, and they'd add another one for each finger.
They haven't confirmed PSVR for the 5, have they?
They have. They have
they?
said that obviously because purely for the fact that a lot of, as I say, PlayStation 4 backwards compatibility. A lot of them are going to need VR support, and obviously they've also released the HD camera, which has also got 2 lenses on there as well. So it's got a support.
Oh, for tracking.
Yeah.
the
Oh, right.
PlayStation
Okay.
VR.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So all of that kind of stuff. So
check.
I doubt it's a VR game. However, as Senpai has mentioned, I'm really, really hoping that they do a second edition of their VR headset.
Yeah.
Hoping, anyway.
Yeah.
What about you, Senpai? What do you
who
think
knows?
of it? The Ghostwire. Tokyo?
I enjoyed it as a trailer, but again, it's not really told me anything about the game yet.
That was another one that actually showed some gameplay, but it could have been very well scripted and so forth. But yeah, there was gameplay still.
Yeah. Right, next on the list, I'm actually going to skip this one because we've only got about 15 minutes left, so we're going to try and just get in the bigger titles. But the next one was purely cinematic anyway. It was called Jett the Far Shore. Didn't really tell you much about the game.
I don't even remember that one, actually, now that you mention it.
Neither
No,
do I.
that was the one that we said looked like a Journey.
Oh, yeah.
Oh!
Yeah.
Although
Visually
Journey
looks
was
good.
great.
Yeah, it looks good.
It looks
but...
very Journey-esque.
But next on the list was a game where I don't really know how to describe it. My only notes say "looks insane" in all caps, but it's a game
Good
called
reporting there, Diz.
Godfall.
Yeah, I've heard about Godfall. This was the one this is the fighting one that we looked at, Tex, the one with the guys in the armor and so forth. This reminded me very much of like For Honor style fighting with what else did we say crossovered with? It was For Honor and something else that we said it like mixed over with. And I had heard about this title I think beginning of this year, and I'd seen snippets and stuff, and I thought, well, that was pretty cool. And then after seeing what they showed last night, it looked, like you said, insane. Piqued an interest for me, but that's probably about as far as I've known about it and seen about it. But it looks good for me. I would get it, but I would need to see more on it.
Yeah.
I think Godfall was the very first game that actually got announced exclusively for next-gen consoles, where it is not coming to PlayStation 4 or Xbox One.
Oh, was it really?
I
didn't know.
I don't know if it's even been announced for Xbox Series X yet, but I know it's definitely exclusive for next-gen consoles, and that, to me, is what makes it look really, really fun, because you're not going to have the whole problem of having to make it work on older, not necessarily older consoles, but the current generation.
Yeah.
So that really piques my interest.
Yeah. Senpai, yourself?
For me, it looked like a really, really interesting cinematic. The detail on everything was really good, but it is just not my sort of game.
No, that's fair enough.
To me, it just kind of looked like a Dynasty Warriors-esque game where you got like godlike powers with godlike armor and godlike weapons, and all of these minions are being thrown at you, and you're just like, ha! Spear to the face, mother. And then, like, I don't know, it just looked... There was just things happening all over the screen, and I felt like a 5-year-old kid again, just like, I need this game. So, for me, from what I saw of Godfall, Yeah, I would get that.
Cool.
And we already know Tech will as well.
Yeah.
So don't even need to ask. Next game, again, it was just another. It was another cinematic, a game called Solar Ash. Can't really add any comments to that because
what was that one? I don't remember that one at all.
This is the one where I said it looks like another roguelike.
Yeah, you kind of had like the roguelike character. It kind of looked like they were standing on an asteroid looking at a black hole in space.
Oh, okay. Now which one you're talking about? Yeah.
So again, you saw zero gameplay.
Yeah.
Don't really know what to
okay.
say about
it. I don't know what to say about that.
Next one is going to make Lance happy in his pants. It's Hitman 3.
Yeah.
He was incredibly happy.
Really happy when I heard that got released.
Death awaits.
Oh, dude, this stuff you can get away with Hitman is like Senpai knows. You've played a couple of the Hitman games, but I mentioned it to TECHS yesterday, and I did it on stream like a little while ago when I did Hitman 2. That one of the last missions you could do in Hitman 2 was that you could kill someone with a starfish. So I had 3 targets, and I literally made it my sole purpose for the stream to kill three targets with a starfish. Like literally, like throw them like a shuriken. I was like, I'm gonna kill each and every one of you with a starfish, and I did it. It's just great. But you see Hitman just like he'll do it like he's winding up to throw a baseball, and then he just does the throw, and you just watch it go into the back of the head, and then it's like, oh. and then they just drop, and you're like, quick, get back the starfish, and run up, grab the starfish, and lay it. But no, I was very happy because it's good. They are episodic, but they're done really well. That's the thing, though. So. Yeah. I didn't expect it to be a Hitman 3. I thought there may have been like a DLC that was coming, or they were announcing the next part of it. But Hitman 3, so soon after Hitman 2, it's a surprise, but not unwarranted. I'm not going to say no. That's a definite buy for me.
Yeah, I think again that's the kind of game where I enjoy watching other people play it because I'm the most unstealthiest motherfucker alive. So
that's the thing with Hitman, you can go in guns blazing and it doesn't really matter.
That's true, but it's not really meant to be how you play the game.
For me, this one is not so much about the gameplay as if the storytelling is going to be right. I think I could really enjoy it. Yeah, you can run around, make as much noise as you want, throw everyone out the window, hide the baby in the basket, and escape. But if the story is good enough,
exactly. The story is quite good.
If the story is if they're gonna wrap up the trilogy nicely. Yeah, potentially, yeah.
Okay, right. Let's miss the next thing on the list because that was Astro's Playroom, which.
That was another pee break.
Yeah. After that, we had what looked like a nice little indie game. Could have been made by a big developer. I'm not really quite sure. It's called Little Devil Inside. It just kind of looked like an insane open world H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, the thing that me and TECHS were like, we figured out kind of how it went because of the.
Well, you did.
Yeah, well, didn't you agree? You figured out.
No, I agreed with you, but you were the one that said.
Yeah, so as we were watching the trailer, we were kind of like, oh, there's the professor guy here, there's the devil thing happened. We were like, oh, this looks interesting. It's happening inside the dude's body though. So we were like, no, okay.
I didn't actually think of that.
Think of it kind of like Detective Osmosis, was it, in one of those older 90s 3D films?
Yeah.
Something similar to that.
With the Detective Bloodcell. Yeah, kind of like that where you're adventuring.
Did they show that in the trailer and I just missed it?
Well, no, they didn't.
With
it being called Little Devil Inside, you kind of put 2 and 2 together.
And the way they cut it together, it made you go, is that inside his body? It must be.
Well, considering that, like, for one part of it, the main character that I think you're going to play as was on a rope, lit a bomb, dropped it, and then
the next scene is the guy's on the toilet.
Yeah. All right,
it's that kind of comedy that really plays well with me, so I'm actually quite looking forward to trying that out.
Oh, so that's a yes from you.
As long as I can get a demo of it,
yeah. To me, it looked great. I would definitely play that.
Yeah.
It looked really fun. Right, next game is just going to be a massive 100% glitch fest like every other one is. That's NBA 2K21, which I'm sure no one here will. So TECHS will buy it. Okay, fair enough.
TECHS
just for the microtransactions alone.
Maybe we should just call this episode "Tech said yes to everything in PS5."
Yes.
Yes.
Techs is going to be broke.
Yep.
After that, very confusing game by the makers of Octodad called Bugsnax.
Oh
You
my
become
god!
what you eat. Oh no, my arm is now a hamburger. I don't get
one
it.
had,
And mine is a
and one had
I've
sausage
got one
fingers.
which is meatballs, one which is a curly fry.
Someone has sausage fingers in there.
So again, until they actually show us what that adds to the game, like, does it give you powers? Are you literally just a piece of food? I don't know.
It looked very sort of. It looked like a Wii game.
Yeah, I can agree with
But
that. Yeah,
towards
I
the
agree
end
with
of it,
that.
it kind of it finished on sort of like a fade to black, and it looked a little bit sort of dark. Like there was a very sort of dark
the
enemy
character
to it,
jumping
and then
out at you.
Yeah,
and then that was it.
Yeah.
yeah, I was a little bit.
But it was very.
That was
a
probably
little bit too
the
cartoony.
one thing that I thought was kind of like, I don't understand why this is here. Who's going to buy this? I understand they tried to make it look technical. Well, yeah,
TECHS.
TECHS, obviously. This was marketed for
For my
TECHS,
kids. For my kids.
But sure, kids, air quotes.
For the kids.
But yeah. But yeah, I wasn't
Hashtag
impressed by
for the
it.
kids.
Yeah.
Okay, next on the list. Again, it was purely 100% cinematic, but it led to a massive reveal. We're once again getting another Demon Souls game. Which is
So this is what I've heard.
No.
It's
It's not another one.
yeah,
It's a remake.
It's a remake.
It's a remake, you say?
Yeah, it's a
It's
remake.
a remake of the original Demon Souls.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Which is
It's
huge.
a generational
Yeah.
skip.
Yeah.
Because the original was on the PlayStation 3. This is a generational skip. They are skipping the PS4 remake and doing it for PS5.
Mm-hmm. See, the thing was, Tex and I watched it and we were like, Demon Souls 2? And we didn't see like no symbol for 2 or any or Roman numerals or anything. We were like, just 1? And we're like, is this a remake or remastering? What was it?
Yeah, it's a
It's,
full-on
but then
remake.
I found out today
double-checked
it's
that.
a full-on remake, yeah. So, interesting. It looks good from the trailer. But then it's Demon Souls, so people are going to get mad after like the first level and just never play it again.
It's what those games are designed for. Like, I suck at
Yeah.
all of those games, like Dark Souls, like Bloodborne, whatever, but... from the cinematic, it looked awesome. It was a nice big reveal. It was something that the PlayStation needed at this point during the conference, and I think that's going to be a big seller for them.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it will be.
It will
Big
be.
seller.
It'll be like the greatest game to have never gotten past level 2.
Exactly.
Oh my god, it's like Ninja Gaiden all over again. Holy crap.
Right, considering we have like 5 minutes left, we'll just skip to the next one. Throughout this whole trailer, the game was Deathloop, by the way. I'm pretty sure I was looking at just a remake of Dishonored, and it turns out it's the exact same people that made Dishonored are making Deathloop. It looks really fun, but again, I'm
It
terrible
does
at
look very
spy
fun.
games.
Yeah.
It does look fun, but the thing is that the gameplay that I saw for this was different from the original trailer I saw at E3.
Right.
My interpretation of this was E3 was like it was sort of like you play as one of the two characters and your goal is like you do 2 different storylines and it's sort of like a multiple choice. I viewed it as a multiple choice style thing. Like you play as one character, you get to their story, get it finished, and then you can choose the other character, get to their story and finish it. But it ended up being, oh look, you can choose this person who can die unlimited times, but come back to get to the end, and he can do it. And then you've got the woman who's there to stop him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, fine. This is not what I anticipated, and it kind of put a damper. I thought it was good when I saw the E3 trailer, but then now I was like, nah, I'm not invested in this one.
It got a lot of love on Twitter this morning. A lot of people that I follow were actually talking about Deathloop.
I can understand that because I was a huge fan of Dishonored 1. I never played Dishonored 2.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
No, neither did I.
But I loved the first one. It was so different and so good. Considering I suck at being like stealthy in games, I don't know. It was just the powers that they included. It was amazing. I loved
It's
it.
because it's the only game that you got past level 4 on.
Pretty much. Yeah. I suck
Wasn't
at
that the
games.
last game of the conference though? And then it was like the PlayStation reveal, wasn't it?
No, we've got 3 more on the list, so we'll just go straight to the next one.
Oh, I remember the last one,
blah. Cinematic. Village 8.
Oh god, yeah.
Resident Evil 8.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 8.
I'm not gonna lie, I saw that. I like we said this yesterday, Tex, that it looked really bad, and like I had inklings and heard rumors like Tex had that there was a Resi game coming, but having watched that little cinematic, I thought it looked terrible.
Yeah.
I was not impressed by that.
It didn't sell it really.
No.
Honestly, for me, like even compared to the graphics in Bugsnax, this looked terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It honestly looked like a PlayStation 3 game that was trying to run on the PlayStation 4. The amount of lighting effects that looked terrible, the amount of fucking shit anti-aliasing that was on there, the amount of fucking jagged lines were absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
And then just for it to drop Chris Redfield at the end, it's like, well, okay, you've got werewolves, you've got zombies, you've got what looks like vampires now.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of trying to expand on the whole zombie problem.
And then throw a supernatural element to it as well.
Exactly.
So was that guy, the Chris Redfield, is he from the original?
Yeah,
games?
he's from Resi 3.
Right, okay.
And Resi 1.
Resi 1 as well, sorry,
Yeah, because I'm not a Resident Evil guy, so I don't know.
No, same.
What do you mean? You should have watched the movies, dude. That's all you need to know.
So it looked interesting. Story-wise, it looked interesting, but graphics-wise, it looked easily one of the worst ones I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay. Okay, so you'll think about it before buying it.
No, I to be fair, like as I mentioned to Lance, I will probably get Resident Evil 7 on the PlayStation 4 and actually redo that on stream in VR and actually try and complete it, just so I can then work on Resident Evil 8 when that comes out, and I'll probably get it because I enjoyed Resident Evil 2. I do need to get Resident Evil 3 remake as well, and play through that. But Resident Evil 2 remake really got my interest, so I wanted to redo Resi 7, and then I'll get Resi 8.
Okay.
Provided that the graphics get a decent update. But anyway,
Right, okay, next on the list, which again, the entire thing was cinematic, and my only notes were astronaut with creepy girl on the moon? Question mark?
This one. This was
the
like
game was called
weird Death Stranding one.
Yeah. Not really sure what to say because again, we haven't really it intrigued me what was going on in the movie because that's all we saw. We saw a movie.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any gameplay. No idea what the story's about, but it looked interesting. It looked all right.
Yeah.
If you're looking at this as the whole conference as a sort of a build-up to this big mic drop and everything like that, that should probably have been a little bit closer to the start.
Yeah, that one should have been a bit closer to the start.
Okay, well, this is where I'm going to bring in some wrestling knowledge to you. Okay, it's all about up and downs. You can't have constant ups. Like the way TV and film works is if you keep going up and up and up and up and up, you're gonna just blow the audience.
For a bigger drop.
Yeah, like the audience are just gonna get exhausted. You need your up, you're down, you're up, you're down. It's a bit weird that they started with the down, but then they with the GTA 5, but then brought it up with Spider-Man, and then for me personally, a little bit down with Gran Turismo, and then up with Ratchet and Clank. Now, obviously, we're not going to talk much about Pragmata because we don't really know much about it. But the reason why I feel they brought it down is to get you super excited at what was at the last game to be announced, which was Horizon Forbidden West, which it looks great.
It's a yes from TECHS.
Yeah.
This is one of the biggest ever yeses from me on the entire thing because I absolutely loved Horizon Zero Dawn, Platinum Day. I never got the DLC because I ended up trading it in before the DLC was even announced, thinking that they weren't going to do much else for it. So I do need to get it and replay it and do the DLC at some point, which I will do now that Forbidden West is coming. But this was one of my all-time generational favorites out of the entire PlayStation 4 lifespan. And to this day has been one of my all-time favorites to get for a Platinum as well. And absolutely love the gameplay, the story, the open world, absolutely everything. Every part of it was absolutely fantastic, and I'm so looking forward to Forbidden West. As I mentioned to Lance, I could kind of tell it was coming to the West purely for the fact that it also, from what I saw, had a San Francisco sign on there as well. Okay. So I'm looking forward to how much of America you can actually see, whether it's a kind of Death Stranding East Coast to West Coast kind of thing, and how big they're going to make it, or whether it's going to kind of be centralized as just the West Coast or just the East Coast, something like that. I'm looking forward to what they bring to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was watching the trailer, and I was just kind of like, I've never played Horizon Zero Dawn. It's on my to-play list. But I was watching this trailer, jaw kind of dropped, mouth wide open. And for some reason, it got to the clip where it was just like a giant robotic mammoth. And all I could bring myself to do was shout yes. I don't know why. It just made me so happy. I was like, yes!
Funny thing was though, we saw that sequence, and Tex and I were like, it's like a scene from Lord of the Rings. So there's the one in Return of the King where you see the man just come walking in. We were like, oh, this is going to be the fight for Gondor.
But yeah, so for me, I'm going to play the first game at some point because I'm pretty sure you can pick it up cheap on the PlayStation now, like a tenner or 15 quid or something.
$44.99.
That's probably what it is on Steam now that it's out on Steam. But yeah, I'll play through the first game. But from the look of just the cinematic alone for Forbidden West, I'm 100% in. I will get it.
I got it at launch. It was a fantastic game. It was by far one of the best games I've played on PS4. Easily one of the best games I've played on PS4.
You, Senpai?
If I find the time to play through the first one, then yes.
Good man.
If not, I may have to pick it up on sale.
And we already know Tech's answer, so...
Yeah.
Yes.
So on that list of how many games, I'm pretty sure Tex has only said no to one.
3.
One definite, 2 maybes.
So I definitely think the title of this podcast should be "The PS5 is going to make tech broke."
Yeah.
Yeah, it breaks my wallet.
Yeah.
PS5 breaks Tech's wallet. Done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, PS5 breaks Tex. There we go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
One guy gets
Yeah.
The PS5 has bent Tech over. But on that note...
Speaking of the PS5...
Yeah. What do we think of the reveal of it? Like, what it looked like? I mean, obviously, there's the memes and the internet.
I was kind of hoping when they were doing the reveal of it, going through all the waves and everything like that, I was like, please tell me that they've just glued loads of little bubbles together and they've somehow managed to fit a console inside it, and that's what it's going to be.
I thought it was that futuristic. It was just a bunch of moving bubbles. Oh my god. But in all honesty, I'm 100% down for the physical disc copy of the console. Because I love buying my physical games. I love it. It doesn't mean I'll never buy a digital game for it, but I love getting discs. I love it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And I love the look
Plus,
of it.
obviously, you get the whole you get the collector's edition and everything else of games with discs. So, but as Laura mentioned to me earlier, like what they will probably start offering with the digital edition is you can probably still buy a collector's edition of a game where you still get like statues and figures and all that kind of stuff.
And just be a code
you
in
just
there.
get a download code.
Yeah.
So if they were doing that,
So,
and that was like sort of like their way to help with the digital version for those who want to buy that but don't have space to get collector's editions and so forth for games, that would be a alternative. Like for me, if it was one of those things where like, oh, here's a nice collector's edition of Horizon Zero Dawn, but we won't give you a disc, we'll give you a code, I'd be like, I'm down to buy that and get the digital version of the game or the digital console.
yeah, exactly. Because I mean, who the hell is going to trade in a collector's edition of a game?
Yeah, exactly.
Not many whatsoever.
And you won't get anything for it anyway. That's the thing, though.
Exactly, yeah. Because they have to take it as a standard, because obviously with a collector's edition of a game, you still get the digital download codes. So that when you go to trade it in, they have to treat it as a standard edition. So you get nothing for the extra figures and stuff anyway, so there's no point.
No.
But at that same point, if you are literally looking purely at the digital edition of it, and you are purely looking at the PlayStation Store, how often is it that they do a really, really good sale, like how Steam does?
Yeah.
You're not going to get that huge of a discount. Like, say, for example, like, the cheapest game that I've ever actually managed to get on a sale is going down from £45 to £25. You're not really going to see much more than that on a AAA game. You're not going to see it cheap, apart from the recent one which you got, like
well, I mean, obviously they
God
do
of War and that kind of stuff.
the days of what do they call it? The days of PlayStation or something like that. Where right now
Days of Play,
the days of play where right now everything's up to 85% off. But obviously taking that into account, yes, it's a great discount, but you're looking at games that are already over a year old. Like if we're talking, say, for example, Horizon, like the second one, that within the first year will not drop in price on PlayStation Store at all. We all know this.
Exactly.
It will be at least a year, maybe a year and a half before even remotely going to a sale.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously, if you get the disc-based version of the PlayStation 5 and you go to a store a year later, you are going to see games that were AAA. Like, obviously, they may very well cost like £60 nowadays, or maybe even £65. But they will be discounted down to like £45, £40, something like that for a 6-month, a year-old game, something like that. You're not going to get that option on the PlayStation Store straight away.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
So this is why I'm going to go for the disc-based version, even if it is more expensive. But it's purely for the fact that you have options of cheaper games.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So
Definitely.
now
Anyway.
I'm going to mention purely based on the design, as me and Lance picked up yesterday during the stream, was that on the very, very front of the console, you've got a USB port and a Thunderbolt Type-C port. Now, the only thing that I know of that uses those on the back of PCs, other than charging ports and the very, very slight data transfer, is VR.
Yeah.
Now, you buy
I
any
thought it
up-to-date...
was just going to be for charging, but if they are going to bring VR into it, then I think you're right. That's probably going to be one of the ports
this
for
is
it.
what is getting my hopes up now. You buy a an RTX 2060, 2070, 2080, 2080 Ti, whatever. Each one of those graphics cards comes with a Type-C port that is purely for VR integration. And every one of the more recent VR headsets, like the Oculus Rift S, the HTC Vive, the Index, whatever else, all use a Type-C integration into your graphics card to get the data transfer over even faster. I honestly think that is what that front Type-C port is for. An upgraded VR headset for PlayStation. Obviously, they announced nothing for it. However, with the Type-C port being on the front, plus the HD camera, that is all they called it, was a HD camera, having the 2 lenses as well, I can only think that they are going to do an upgraded version of the VR headset.
Yeah.
Could be.
Agreed.
It's my own speculation, but it's got my hopes up that they are going to do it. So
There is a potential for that, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm just assuming that this press conference ended and you just threw your wallet at the screen.
Take my money! Take my money! Take my money!
He's buried it somewhere in the garden in a time capsule. Do not open until holiday 2020.
Now, the problem there being, I got a credit card the last few days with £1,000 limit. I am...
You are stupid, is what you are.
Wow.
I'm going to DM Laura and tell her to chop it up.
I actually used it for the first time today.
Oh wow. What did
I bought Coke for my drinks, for my alcoholic beverages.
Right.
Okay.
And I
was like,
It's like,
hang on.
who's selling
in-
cocaine
and
with a
in-
credit
first
card?
And in the same purchase, I bought Joker on Blu-ray and Star Wars on Blu-ray, because I've not seen Star Wars yet. So,
Nice. Wait,
and I've got
which
the
Star
other 2
Wars?
films. Rise of Skywalker, the latest one.
Nice.
It may be hated by a number of people in the community, but I already own the
And
other 2.
it's-
I kind of
still haven't seen it yet either, so...
I enjoy them.
Neither
Reserve
did
your
I, so
judgment.
I wanted to watch it.
I didn't mind it.
enjoy them, yeah.
It served its purpose.
But we've moved over to films
So-
now, so that's probably where we should wrap it up.
Indeed.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got our we've got our guest waiting for the next one.
Well, we're going to have like a 5-minute break, and
Yeah.
and then we'll try and go live again and go from there.
Cool. All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining us for this week's episode 1 of the Crusaders podcast. We finally got there. I was your host, SENPIEMAN. I was joined this week by InvisibleDizz. You can find InvisibleDizz on Twitch at
twitch.tv/InvisibleDizz.
LancelotArcher, who you can...
lots and lots of eyes.
Yes. LancelotArcher at...
Twitch.tv/LancelotArcher.
I was also joined by Techsnologic. You can find him at...
Twitch.tv/Techsnologic.
Guys,
Do your
thank
own
you very
channel
much for
this
joining.
time. Do your own channel.
Oh,
Senpai.
yes,
You didn't
I'm
do it
also...
last time.
I know, twitch.tv/SENPIEMAN. SENPIEMAN. Guys, thank you very much for joining. This was a lot of fun, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. See you later.